Let's talk about the 2023 CVO Street Glide and Road Glide. The new models, yeah, we'll go ahead and admit, we're going to talk about the styling up front. Let's get it out of the way. They do look a lot like Indians. They most certainly do. We're not disputing that. But let's take a look at the engine, actually, and what Harley-Davidson has done with that new 121 CI motor, which actually equals out, for all you metric guys, to 1977 cc's. Now, it's got variable valve timing. And you know, Honda has put that in one of their sport bikes a long time ago, the Honda VFR 800. It had variable valve timing. And Harley-Davidson has now brought it to the forefront. Is it going to stay? Is it going to be a staple item for Harley-Davidson going forward? I'm not sure. I don't know, because Honda, they put it in their race bikes and their motorcycles, and they didn't have as much success with it back then as they thought they would, and they never let it sink over to the rest of their motorcycle line. They kept to the VFR 800. So now Harley-Davidson has got it in the CVO. So is this going to trickle down to the rest of the models? Well, let's see how successful it is first. Harley-Davidson did put a higher lift on the cam load for this 121 Street Glide CVO, and they beefed up the bearings in it, and the engine, from what I understand, is just a lot better, a whole lot better. They're beefing up the motors. They're trying to make sure they last longer, and I believe that Harley-Davidson is doing this since now they're racing Indian, and they have a bagger motorcycle league, the racing class. So the bagger motorcycle racing class is definitely helping us out as consumers, I think, because look at how much Harley-Davidson has put into these motorcycles recently. Now, before, when you had the twin cam 88, and then you went to the 96, and then you went to the 103, and then to the 110, those motorcycles did not produce much more horsepower, much more torque from one another. They just made the engines bigger and gave it a couple more horsepower here and there. And if you want to do anything with it, you would have to put cams and you would have to build the motor. Now, Harley-Davidson has got these motorcycles, the CVO, producing 130 plus foot-pounds of torque and 115 horsepower right out the gate. So that's thanks to this racing that Harley-Davidson is doing against Indian. Now, if we can just get some of the other manufacturers involved in that racing and make it more competitive, I think that would be a good thing for all brands. Racing these baggers and getting more and more people interested in it and seeing the niche in the market. I'm not sure that Suzuki or Honda or Kawasaki would be able to stand up to Harley-Davidson in this class. I don't think they would have it. I think that Harley is going to continue to dominate that racing class. Indian Polaris is putting up a good fight, but with this new motor that Harley has out, I think this is just the beginning of the end for anyone winning that bagger class now. With everything that Harley is putting into this motor, I just don't see anybody be able to touch it. This new VVT motor has 21 degrees of cam load. It gives it a higher lift, a higher duration for the valves to be open, to suck in more air and pull out more exhaust. So it's going to equate to more horsepower and more torque. So yeah, I think Harley-Davidson is moving in the right direction with their motors. I like the way that they're doing the oil cooling and the water cooling on the bikes, especially living in Florida. I mean, it is a big deal for the motor to be cooler, because right now it's 9 a.m. and it's like 90 degrees at 9 a.m. The sun is beating down, the air is getting hot, so you know how the rest of it goes. Anyway, I think for us here in Florida, it's a great thing for sure, because water cooling and oil cooling, it just makes temperatures more bearable and the ride that much more enjoyable, because we got enough heat. Am I going to run out and trade my Street Glide in for a new CVO, no, that's not happening. I'm happy with this 119, and plus $50,000 for a motorcycle. That's a little bit out of my league, or a lot out of my league. You know, now that Harley Davidson has put these ride modes, now they got 4 ride modes. You know, the Japanese motorcycles, the sport bikes, have been doing that forever now. So Harley Davidson is joining the fray, and they're updating their motorcycles. No longer is Harley Davidson looked at as your grandfather's motorcycle, because now it's up to date, and I think that this is going to attract more buyers to the market and get more people on board with buying Harley Davidsons. Especially when you import now the performance along with the function and the feel and the ride of a Harley. Yeah, you're just going to start increasing more and more people, tempting more younger people to ride bikes. Ride Harleys, that is. I'm not saying that Harley Davidson should ever put 200 horsepower in their Street Glide, like the new 1000cc sport bikes do. But, you know, Harleys aren't built for racing. Well, they might be now, actually. Actually, they kind of are now. They are built for racing now. So I'm anxious to hear more about this new motor. Yeah, the styling of the new Harley, I agree. It looks like a lot like Indian's Challenger and Chieftain. But we don't know that that's going to trickle down at this point. Maybe Harley Davidson will go back to their roots, and I just like the way my bike looks. I like the roundness of the tank. I like the round headlight. Hopefully Harley Davidson isn't making the same mistake that Jeep made back in the day when they made the YG Jeep Wrangler and it had the square headlights and nobody wanted it. Plus, not every Jeep was 4x4 during that time period. And like, that's what everybody was buying Jeeps for, because they wanted the round headlights. They wanted the 4x4. That's what a Jeep was. So let's hope that Harley's not making that mistake. Let's see how people like it. I don't know, the look is kind of growing on me. I still like this better. You never know. After I see it more and in person, maybe I'll like it better. You guys tell me what you think. Are you excited about the new look of the Harleys? Or are you excited about all the engine technology that's going into them? Or is that a disappointment also? Are these manufacturers like S&S and Fueling, are they going to be able to make a newer cam that produces more power than the Harley does now? I'm sure that the aftermarket community will be able to step up and get in the game shortly. Yeah, and now that Harley Davidson's got Brembo brakes, they put Brembo brakes on these CVOs. I hope that trickles down to all of the Harley motorcycles in the near future. Inverted front forks, meant for handling, meant for stability. I think Harley Davidson has really stepped up their game on these new bikes. I'm impressed by it. I'm not impressed by the body work at all. Not right now, I'm not. Maybe it'll grow on me, like I said. But the engine, the performance aspect that Harley is going after, I think they're doing what they're supposed to and what they need to keep their niche in the market. That is a pretty view up ahead. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video and you're as interested in the new motorcycles as I am, and the horsepower and the performance aspect of it going forward. So do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button and help the channel out. And until next time, deuces.